it's funny. We did the last episode and we were literally talking about how like, oh, like only one positive test in the Falcons, things are actually looking good. And literally the day after, things start to go to shit. And I'm a little worried that this season is going to be a little bit altered, that we're going to have some delays, that maybe complete entire weeks of this schedule will be postponed. I think that's in the realm of possibilities right now, and I don't know what your analysis of the current state of affairs in the NFL.
So yeah, the Titans obviously were the first outbreak, and they were just like, all right, like let's not have them play this week. You know, we'll make up that game sometime. And then you have the players holding illegal practices, continuing to spread COVID, and they decided to reschedule this Bills game. But there was a second there where they were just going to make them forfeit. And I think that is like what we might see going forward is like it's impossible to be rescheduling so many games like for the end of the year. So if teams are if teams are messing up, they might just be like, you got to forfeit. Like
we've been swearing all podcasts, but
that's true.
It definitely, yeah. I think what the NFL might do is if you go against protocols, that forfeit it's going to be in the conversation, which they've made it clear from the start. They said that we don't care about fairness of play, we care about having a season. Yeah. We don't care about fairness of record, we care about having a season. They made that clear from the get-go. And I think that's a fair thing to say if you're the NFL. The Titans obviously mishandled a few things, and I don't think that this situation obviously lies on one team. I just don't know if once the winter picks up, once this situation gets a little bit worse, when you're talking about mass rescheduling in the NFL, which we talked about before, you can't do double headers in the NFL. You can't do – it's not baseball. People say comparing this to baseball need to get their facts straight, because – not even close, the nature of this sport, the fact that you're in huddles, like how many times in a game, like it's not even comparable. And the two situations just aren't comparable. And people need to start recognizing that when they start comparing the NFL to other sports and saying that they'll be fine, just play the season, it'll be fine, it will be fine, that you're essentially underplaying the whole pandemic itself.
The Titans players missing practice or having practice like off the field, like they're human beings and they want to win games. And so like, I don't like hold it against the players necessarily that like they wanted to practice and get reps in. I hold a lot against the NFL though, because the NFL, as we can all agree, is like one of the worst run professional sports organizations there is. Roger Goodell is terrible as a commissioner. And the NFL has proven for a long time that all they care about is like money and the profits and just making sure the league is profitable. And that's why the Chiefs and the Patriots played that Monday night, because it was a Chiefs-Patriots game. And there's what I'm learning in my Plagues and Pandemics class is that there really is an incubation period for COVID where you can be exposed to it and catch it and not test positive for between 2 and 10 days. So if you asked my Plagues and Pandemics professor, she'd tell you that if you're exposed to someone, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. They didn't practice for 2 days and then played a football game. And then the next morning, someone else tested positive. Stephon Gilmore tested positive for COVID. And I don't blame the players for that. Obviously, I blame the NFL. I think as we go into the winter, and if the NFL is put in a position to fail, they will. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the NFL has never been good at adapting to these new situations, and that cannot be ignored in this situation that you just need to adapt to things. Like the NBA taking time off and taking time for a solid new plan. And like people forget now because the bubble has become a little bit normalized and it was so successful. It was a very abrupt change. Like this was a drastic change for these players, and we had to get them to buy into it. But because it was so well planned and so well executed, like it became normalized, became the new normal, and it worked. The NFL would never do that, and they would never miss out on 2 months of revenue, and that's going to be their downfall. That's going to be we joked with our friends that like, is the Super Bowl like in danger? And our friend said no, because NFL cares about money. Well, guess what? you don't got players, you don't got you don't got a fucking playoffs. Like, and you need to have something in place to prevent this from getting worse, because it's not what the situation now. You can still play games and players get sick, but you don't care because of the NFL. The situation in 2 months, you don't know what that's going to be. The NFL doesn't know. None of the players know. We don't know. So for us to say that the playoffs aren't in danger is naivete. It's absolute naivete. Like we have no clue, and it's not like, oh, let's get scared of something in the future that we don't know. It's, I'm scared of it now because there's no changes being made now, and you need to make changes now to ensure the future of the league.
I'm scared about the future of the season on two fronts. And one front is I don't believe in the NFL's ability to like responsibly and safely and smartly conduct the season. On the other front, I think that if like there's a situation where there's an outbreak and like a bunch of like teams have it and they have to miss a couple games, I don't know if I believe in the NFL to call the audible to save the season. Like say like we're going to have games like every 4 days, or we're going to extend the season, or we're going to do this or that. I feel like we could get to week 10 and it all could fall to crap. And then we'd be like, well, what do we do? Like this team's 8-2, this team is 6-2. Like there's 2 months left. Like, what are we going to do? And I think that like you could be looking at like, we're like almost 2/3 of the way there and things fall apart and everyone's just standing there looking at each other. Like, how do we fix it? Because they're going to put themselves in that position. I'm
Yeah.
not confident in
No,
Roger Goodell.
I just think that, again, I'll say it again, changes need to be made now. If changes aren't made now, then this will only get worse, right? And for them to be like, we'll keep on doing this thing until it becomes just a big enough problem that we can't even play games anymore. That, like, yeah, that's why I'm afraid. And like, do I think the NFL will miss out on a Super Bowl? Like, words cannot describe how much money is made in one game, 1 4-hour football game. Words cannot explain how much money is on the line. So it's really hard to imagine any scenario which that game just straight up does not get played. Will it be in July? like will will it just, like, how long, like will, what level of postponement is acceptable before this just becomes a lost cause? Like, like, what is the date? Is it March? Is it April? Is it May, where this just becomes a lost cause? Like, who knows? And I think like obviously, like, I don't think we can, like, us two can draft up a plan right now of how to save the league, but it is scary. Maybe Adam Silver needs to do some consulting work for Roger Goodell.
I
mean,
think
do you
Adam
think
Silver should just take over every sport in America.
it's true? It's true. Do you think that a bubble is even possible with NFL? Like, you think they're even going to try it?
I mean, maybe when they get to the playoffs, they can do just like what baseball's doing. That's all I can really say as far as the bubble goes. Like MLB is just like, all right, like everyone just stay in this one city, will play this one field. You can practice, at these facilities. Just like, be quarantined in the hotel. I think that for the playoffs that can work, but not
I
for the whole
imagine
season.
once the NBA is done, why not have like the NFL move in there and then have another site? Because I know there's more players and more personnel. Maybe you just have like a Phoenix location, a Florida location. So what? Half the league doesn't play each other. It doesn't matter. Let's just play a season, and for the playoffs, we'll have one of the bubbles be like the playoff bubble. Like, what is stopping like the NFL from doing that? Is it the money? Is it admitting defeat per se? I don't get
Well,
what the con
keep in
is.
mind that they're allowing, like, the Dolphins are allowed to have full stadiums now. I don't think they're going to, but they're allowed to. Like, people, like, teams are still like trying to make money off of like selling tickets. And I think that decision would have had to have been made a long time ago and had like a big plan coming into the season. I think that to like halfway through be like, all right, everyone like pick up and move. And like the bubble like took a while to ramp up. They had to like check in, and then they had to quarantine, and they had to get like situated. And if you're like moving into the bubble on Monday and then playing on that Sunday, it might be kind of a whirlwind kind of a deal. But if the situation comes to it, it comes to it. I think that people have to be prepared for some outside the box situations and
Yeah,
solutions.
I just think that the NFL has more of a reason, because the tough thing with the NBA is they're taking a 100-day hiatus, and The season is long, so you don't have a big gap of off season to work with when you're pushing that, closer and closer back. Now we're in October, we're still playing the finals. Now they have to mix in the next season. Like, the NFL is a long off season, and if they take a 50-day hiatus to figure out a bubble and get people situated, you start to think like the NBA had X amount of excuses to not. The NFL has so many less excuses, in my opinion, to implement something like this, just because of like a bubble when you're playing one game a week. I feel like is a lot more manageable than games being played every day. We're trying to fit in these games before Halloween because that's usually when the season starts. Like, and I don't know, like if you can just obviously you point to Roger Goodell as like the one man to blame, but in my opinion, like the whole like whoever's making the whole entire team making decisions at the NFL, I think like you said, they played the money game. They saw how much it would cost, and they wanted to play like the MLB to pretend like everything was fine. I will say though, the MLB did not allow fans, and um, we know this as baseball people. That was probably hard. Like, so much of a baseball game is not even the game. Like, and people know that. Like the baseball experience has so much to do with the full stadium, with the beer, the hot dogs, the whole 9 yards, and
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
it's just like it's a family thing. Like, and for the NFL to be allowing people in stadiums to, it really speaks volumes on how not seriously they're taking this whole entire thing, right?
Yeah.
Which it's just, it's sad to see. It's hard to see like our favorite players are probably going to get coronavirus, and we don't know like the long-term health effects of this disease yet. It's a mess. It's a mess to say the least. Hopefully we just get to the playoffs and they can do something about it.
Speaking from my plagues and pandemics class, I can say the long-term effects are very real and don't just affect the lungs. Any organ in your body with an ACE2 receptor can be affected, and it depends on the viral load you get. Dropping some knowledge for you, this virus is something to be scared about.
I'm glad that you're getting your money's worth from Emerson. This is more knowledge than I think I've learned from any class.
This is the only relevant class that I've ever taken at this institution.
Hopefully our professors aren't watching this.